Aloha, I'm Tanya from the Patriots, and I'm here with Pua Case, Indigenous leader of the Mauna Kea movement. And why don't you give us an update on what's going on with the contested case?
So I'll start with I'm Pua Case, and I'm an Aloha Aina Patriot, so there you go. And I'm one of many of the Mauna Kea Ohana, and I'm happy to be here to speak about the Mauna and upcoming events, what's going on right now. So right now we're in the middle of a contested case hearing. It's our second contested case. We were awarded the right to a new contested case. So we went into the testimony phase of it starting August with pre-conference, and we are now at the phase where we have completed all of our testimonies. We have submitted to DLNR, Department of Land and Natural Resources, our findings of fact. And now we have made an exchange where the opposing side, the lawyers on the opposing side, have received our finding of facts, and we have received theirs. So we have 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is not a lot of time, especially when you don't have counsel and you're pro se, and we're just individuals, we're just people, grassroots, native people, allies, and we've come together to stand for this mountain. So at this point, what we're doing is we're going through each finding of fact, which totals over 1,000. And we're also looking at conclusions of law, which I really don't have time to go into what all of that means, but just trust me, hashtag FOF and hashtag COL is what we're doing 24/7. And these are the parties and supporters of the parties in this contested case hearing. But I'll give you an example of what a finding of fact looks like and what it means to correct it. So a finding of fact will say something like Pua Case testified that she has cultural traditions on Mauna Kea, but not on the summit or the Northern Plateau, the TMT site. And I know that I didn't say that. So I have to go back to the citation where they say they got that information, and it's either in my oral testimony or in my direct written testimony. And I look in there, and it will say Pua Case has traditions tied to Mauna Kea, including the Northern Plateau. So it's either misleading, inaccurate, mischaracterization. So you find which one it is, you cite where you found that, you make the correction, and you move on to the next finding of fact.
Wow.
So you do that for yourself, for all of your witnesses, and then for all of the reports and the exhibits. And that's what we do. And our due date is June 13th at 4 o'clock.
And you have to do this for 1,000 of these?
Over 1,000,
wow.
Yes.
That's an undertaking.
It is. It really is. And although we're unfamiliar, for 6 of us, this is our second time through this. So we have an understanding of it. But for everybody who just stepped in for this case and they're new to it, it reminds me of when we stepped in the first time and there were 5 parties already there and we became the 6th. It reminds me of that. And so we are compassionate, passionate, we're committed, we're dedicated. We feel that we have no choice, but we also feel that it's a privilege. And the Mauna Kea Ohana support and support from all around the world is everything to us. The prayers that we receive daily from people in their own movements, whether it be Standing Rock, Winnemem Wintu, the Olone, it doesn't matter. It's coming in from everywhere. And when they say, we stand with you, we stand with the mountain, we're praying for you, we have such strong support, Aotearoa, Turtle Island, but indeed around the world. And that's probably around the world calling me right now. So it never stops because we are all in this. We are all in this. Whether we're in the case or not, we are standing firm here, and that's what counts. So that's our next deadline, but for the long haul, we are standing for our Mauna.
So what happens after the deadline?
After the deadline, we're going to take a look at what was the result of having passed it to and I don't even want to call them opposing or other side. I'm not sure what to call them. University of Hawaii, TIO, the Telescope Corporation, PUEO, the Native Hawaiian contingent, did not hand in any finding of facts at all. So I'll just leave that out there. And University and TIO actually joined their finding of facts together. And there you have it. But we all submitted ours as individual parties. And so we will take a look then at what is going to be passed back to us, and we will have a chance to respond to that. Okay. And in the end, the hearing officer will take a look at the completed documents and will render a decision, which is really a recommendation. So after all this time, she renders a recommendation whether the permit should be granted or not. And that recommendation goes to the board.
Okay.
And then the board will
vote.
Yeah, they'll give us whatever the decision is. It's very difficult. It's impossible to ever say that you can meet the 8 criteria to build in that conservation zone. It's impossible to meet all 8, which you have to do. But if they get the permit, will that surprise me, even though there's no possible way? No, it won't surprise me. It happened the last time. It could happen again. And so we just take it to the mountain. Mm-hmm. The mountain will provide the guidance, the leadership for us. We have no real leader in this movement. The Mauna is our leader, our guide, our kupuna, our teacher. Mm. And that's the way it has to be, at least for Mauna Kea. And we proceed in kapua aloha, which doesn't mean at all that we are weak. We are stronger in that. We stand tall, brave, doing the best that we can in alignment with the mountain. And that's all we can do, the best that we can. And then in the end, we turn it back to the Mauna. Because the mountain has said to us, the deities of the mountain, it will not be built. And it's not because of us. It's not even because it's a telescope. It's not because of any of those things. 18 stories on Mauna Kea is going beyond the tipping point. And it will create a disturbance that is irreparable. Mm-hmm. And that disturbance I'm talking about, for those of you who resonate with that disturbance is the vibrational grid. That disturbance is what holds us all together. That's nature's way of saying, I have you. We speak to one another. And if we on our mountain, if we're going to allow for that, then we're going to answer for that. And I don't believe the mountain will allow for that. So we stand in that, but then there's a process. This process is only going to make us wiser, smarter, and stronger for all of the other issues that we're going to have to stand and we're going to have to look at, whether it's from the mountain to the sea. There's an issue in Hawaii for every minute of the day. And this is just good training, everybody out there. So if you're standing in your movement, this Mauna movement has created in us the philosophy, the belief, the understanding that we are in this for our beloved Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And that's just the bottom line. And no amount of money, bribery, manipulation, bullying, or thinking that as a university, a corporation, you can come in and believe that you have the right to Hawaii and our sacred places. These places still teach us. They still shape us. And there comes a time when a native people have the right to say no. And we really don't have to explain why, because it should be so apparent. Why? Because of our water. Why? Because we come from a people that are genealogically linked to a sacred place. Why? Because it is. That's why. But we will take all the necessary steps to explain why. Because we are explaining in the same words as thousands of other people are, that are standing for what is still sacred, what is still their life ways, what is still the way given to us by the original instructions of the Most High. And we are standing behind that with those who are standing all over the world. And so this is what we do.
Thank you. First of all, I'm not sure we're going to want to take this, but I have a question that's in my mind, is that I'm wondering how it feels to have to appeal to people logically when this doesn't feel like a logical argument. I mean, I know that that's the situation that is proposed, right? Because this is a force, this is a group of people, the university and what have you. They operate simply up here in the mind.
Yes.
And so I'm curious how that feels to someone who clearly is so grounded in her sense of self and spirituality.
How I feel is that we are all learning. We have different philosophies, we have different understandings, we have different upbringing. We've assimilated into what Hawaii is today and what the world is today, and we have to be patient with one another, because at the end of the day, especially in Hawaii, there are our people on both sides. And if we're going to be productive as a lahui, as a nation, we need to know how to work together to at least be able to explain where we are coming from, why we feel the way that we do. And we have to work at that, especially when our people are on both sides. At the end of the day, we're either related, we know one another. The way we present ourselves is very important, but we are not compromising. We are not saying anymore, yes, if you put Hawaiian fabric on the furniture in the telescope as a mitigation, that is going to be okay. No, putting pictures of our people on the wall is not going to appease that. And giving your workers 1 hour a year to be oriented to Mauna Kea, no, that's not enough. As some of my comrades will say, there are non-negotiables for our people. And this is a non-negotiable. And we have to do this for everybody. And this is not about science versus culture. It's not about any of that. This is about maintaining the integrity. This is about listening to the elements like we used to be able to. This is about hearing them say, not this time, too much, too big, and really hearing that voice and saying, then we stand. That's what this one is about.
Thank you. Is there anything that the people can do to help?
What you can do to help us out there, there's so many things. Today at 12:30, there's sign waving going on at Church Row in Waimea, and maybe there's one person there today. Maybe there's a family of 5 or so. Be a presence for Mauna Kea, because Mauna Kea is the highest mountain in the entire world from the sea floor. So it impacts all of you. When we say highest in the world, that must be another call from who knows who. Sorry about that, everybody. But that's the way we roll here. And be a presence for the mountain. Pray for us and pray for your movements and stand strong and be less afraid. There was a time when we were all afraid at different levels of fear. Be less afraid. Find out what it is that's going to help you to cross that and to say, I stand. Support those in the movements in any way that you can. Yes, we do need funding, sure, too. So I'll say if you do have the means to at least spread the message, and more so if you have the means to donate, you can go to Kahea, K-A-H-E-A, kahea.org, You can either choose to donate to the Mauna Kea Defense Fund for us in these cases, or for Mauna Kea Education and Awareness, so that we can keep the learning, the sharing, the knowledge passed from one to another, because we have to do better at that. We have to educate, spread the word, the indigenous wisdom and knowledge farther than we ever thought we would have to, and that's from Hawaii to all the way around the world. But I'm also really advocating for you to look in your own backyards. What's going on there that you need to stand for? Is it your water? Is it your sacred places? Are you facing fracking, mining, drilling? Then really this pertains to all of us. So support the movement as we do. So stay connected. Get on sacred Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is that will join us all together. And so Standing Rock is a good place to start. Sacred Stone Camp, support them. The Olone, the Winnemem Wintu, I'm very connected to them, and they're trying to bring the salmon back for all of you from Aotearoa. And Aotearoa wants to give your salmon back. They've been holding it for all these years. Find out how you can help, and that's Run for Salmon. Just because I'm in Hawaii doesn't mean I don't have my eye and my heart out there with all of you, and I'm traveling as much as I can. Thank you for bringing me out there time and time again to connect us all. My daughter is making beautiful music, Havani, in order to spread the word and open our hearts to hear the message, and so are many of you. So all you water warriors out there, you land defenders, you Kukia Imauna warriors, we are all in this together. And let our elements, our landscape, our mountains be our leaders, and we are all in this, and together we rise. Thank you.
There's nothing else to say after that. Mahalo.
Aloha.